Film, as you will see, is quite a bit wider. If I can get it open.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
This is a 1927, and if I crank it,
Oh my God, that's magnifique.
and if you look at the top, you can see the little claw come in, pick up the film, pull it down. Reach up, pick it up, pull it down. Reach up, pick it up, pull it down. See at the top there? What I want to do now is just real quickly kind of show you the principle behind what you've seen, and also we're going to talk a little bit about the soundtrack, because I know that Rob told you about the first soundtracks, which were on big records, 16-inch records, that were connected to the projector. So when you started the projector, it started the record, and hopefully it stayed in sync. Now, if a record hit a scratch and it jumped, then things would be out of sync, and it would be goofy looking. So we don't want that. Oh, thank you. So what we've got, oops, clumsy. The cameras and the viewer even that you saw has got a thing called a gate. I'm drawing it kind of a funny shape like that because we're going to take the film and come in kind of at an angle, and again at an angle, and come back out. In front of that, there's this thing called a rotary shutter. Okay, what that is a big metal disc that will spin in front of the shutter. Okay, so you're looking at a frame of film going through the shutter, and then you have that claw that comes in and pulls it down on it. So what happens is oh, and out here there's a lens. Just pretend that this is a lens out here. So you take a picture of your subject, right? And it comes in, and if this shutter is rotated in front of the frame, it won't take a picture, right? Because it's covering it. So at that time, this claw comes in, pulls it down, and moves it to the next spot. Then that claw comes out, gets out of the way, and the shutter opens, it takes a picture. It takes one still picture. Then this shutter rotates around again another 180 degrees, closes it, claw comes in, moves to the next spot. Then it releases and lets the film stay steady, shutter rotates another 180 degrees, lets the next frame come in. So that's how it's done, one frame at a time. Tick, 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 tick. That's what you hear on the projector. You can hear it running that shutter and running that shuttle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a terrible artist, so please excuse me. But that's what's happening, is that it's turning on and off. It's like a still camera, a film still camera. You take one picture, the shutter goes click, click, real fast like that. That's one shot. Then you manually go to the next frame. With a moving camera, it goes click, click, and then the motor moves it to the next frame. Click, click, moves the next frame. Click, click, next frame. That's happening 24 times a second. So that's where you get that sound, because it's a camera going faster than you can run the buttons. Okay? So now, that's how the film part works, and the projection is just the opposite. It's the same principle. We go into a projector, and we have a light. So we have a big bulb here. And we have a lens out here. And we have our screen way out here. Okay, so film comes from the big reel at the top, goes down to the big reel at the bottom. What's happening here is that you have a shutter back here, which is like this. It goes around and around. And you have a pull-down claw, which sits right here. So what it does is, let me the shutter is closed, the pull down claw pulls it to the next picture. Then it releases, lets it sit still, and then the shutter opens and it shoots the picture out onto the screen. Then the shutter closes, and then this claw comes up, moves it to the next picture. And then the shutter opens back up, shoots it on the screen. So when you saw on the viewer, when you went real slow, you could see that on, off, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? That's what would happen if you run a projector really slowly. But if you get it going fast enough, your eye doesn't see the flicker anymore. And your eye also tricks you into saying, oh, there's somebody moving. Well, they really aren't. There's just a bunch of pictures in a row, creating the illusion of movement. So does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay. Now, we want to add sound to that. Sound in the optical world is a very interesting thing. It uses a, let's see, eraser device
On the floor there.
Look down the side of a film. Here's a film. Here are the frames. And down one side, there's this squiggly thing. That's the soundtrack. Now, sound is a wave. So here's a sine wave, right? That's real pure. That's a real pure tone. If you were to turn that into light, it would be right here. It would be dark here, and bright here, because it opens and closes as it goes back and forth. So if you have that light go like this, okay, you've recreated, you can photograph that on a piece of film. So on a piece of film, that wave would look like this. So what that is here's light bright, the light dark. The light bright, the light dark. So now what I've done is I've turned on, here it lets a lot of light through, here it lets a lot of light through, here it lets no light through. So it's making the light go like this, bright dim, bright dim, bright dim. Well, if you run that light, that bright dim light, to a thing called a photocell, it hits the target of the cell and bounces back, and that turns it into audio. So that bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark thing becomes speaker out, speaker in, speaker out, speaker in. When a speaker goes in and out fast enough, you hear it. If it goes, say, 1,000 times a second in and out, that's about that. Okay? That's modulating. So that's how the sound is turned from light to sound. And the opposite is when you're in the camera, you have to somehow or another photograph that on film. And there's two ways it's basically done. One is called a light valve. There's two little ribbons of metal. There's a light bulb back here. Okay, there's a light bulb. And then out here is your film going by. When that light valve, it looks like this. And then if I say, hello, hello, it moves in response to my voice. When it does that, it creates these light and dark spots on the film. It opens more light, less light. If it goes back and forth 1,000 times a second, you get, right? Because it's going back and forth 1,000 times a second, and it's letting the light through. The other way it's done is by what's called a mirror galvanometer, which is a real cool name. And what that is that you have a light, and you have a mirror right here, and you have your film down here. And what happens is that this is connected to the microphone, and it makes the mirror wiggle back and forth. And when it wiggles back and forth, it sends that beam of light onto the film, and it creates the wiggle on the film because it wiggles back and forth. And that's how that's done. So, that's a lot at once. I know. All I'm doing is covering the bulb.
Wow.
So that's your optical soundtrack down. Up in here is your picture part. Okay? And why is it making that noise? Because there's a shutter spinning around up there, and the optical soundtrack, and that sound that is hearing it. If I shake it, it goes away. Okay? Now, one thing is the soundtrack. It's threaded. Threads itself. Isn't that cool?
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now you can see by the yellow, that's the path the film takes. And you can see how this jumps up and down. And this down here is nice and smooth. That's how the two have to work together. So let's watch a movie.
Yay!
Yeah. Here we go.
All right, we ready?
You can see the texture of the blank film.
Yes.
Little scratches there. I'm focusing on them.
Yeah.